This is the game SquareCells. It's from the same person who made HexCells, but in this case the game involves a grid where there are numbers along the top and the left telling you how many squares in each row or column need to be marked or cleared. Right 4, up 4, down a third, click, up 4, right 3, left 1, click. Now, depending on the resolution you choose for the game, the size of the grid will also change, and so you'll need to measure it. So I played in 1280 by 800 for a bit, and in that case the distance between the left edge of two adjacent squares was 35 pixels. In 720p as I'm doing now, it's 31 pixels. And you need to have discrete movements in both directions from 1 to at least 13, because the largest size grid is 14 across, and you'd want to be able to move from corner to corner on that. But you also need commands moving it by a third, so you can hit these menu options. In the 800p case, where it's 35 pixels from one square to the other, I chose a third to be 12 pixels, and in this case, the 720p, I've chosen it to be 10 pixels. Now, obviously it doesn't divide perfectly, but even after moving a third 3 times, I'm only 1 pixel off, and that really doesn't make a difference. You'll need to choose what commands you use for removing an empty square and for marking it as part of the pattern. Right 3, down 1, down 1, up a third, mark, down 1, right click, down 1. It also helps to have commands which will hold down one or the other mouse button so that you don't have to keep saying the particular command. So, mark hold, right 1, right 1, mark release, left 3, clear, up 1, blank, up 1, click, up 1, blank hold, right 3, down 2, left 1. Now if you want, you can also have moving diagonally, and that does help later in the game. Up right 1, up left 1, down 1, release. I have a general release command which lets go of both the left and right mouse button, regardless of whichever one I've been holding down, just in case I forget. And you may have noticed that when you're holding down one of the buttons and you move more than one square, it doesn't actually hit any of the squares in between. Down 8, right 4, down a third, click. Unfortunately, you're going to need to carefully click the Next and Menu and Exit and Reset options. Up 8, left 4, up a third, right 1, mark hold, left 1, up 3, blank release, down 8, right 4, right 2, down 2, up a third, click. Now, to save time on selecting which file and the next level and exit and reset and so on, you can use AutoHotkeys Window Spy to get the exact pixel coordinate you want to click. Now, assuming that your window always loads in the same place and that you don't move it around, those locations will always be valid. So you can make your commands for next level, menu and so on, and even one for centering the cursor in the middle of the grid so you don't have to keep moving back to it. Go to center. Reset level. Now you notice here it clicked reset level but then also activated the center script and moved back to the middle, and it also does that if I select retry or next, so that whatever happens I'm ready to play immediately. Mark release. Next level. Exit level. There are 36 puzzles, and they get harder and harder as you get through, and they are quite a worthy challenge.